We met Holly in the ticket hall, who, after quick introductions, whisked us off to see the Chilean flamingos. Along the way, we learned about Gerald Durrell and his amazing work over his lifetime to protect endangered species from extinction. Of course, most children know of Gerald through the dozens of witty and funny books he wrote about the natural world. But we weren't aware of his total passion and commitment to saving animal species through captive breeding. Initially sidelined by prominent zoologists of the time, Gerald persevered, and now his conservation techniques are emulated by zoos all around the world, and students come from over 120 countries to study at the on-site mini-university. Gerald died in 1995 at the age of 70. He left an indelible mark on the conservation world and a valuable legacy for future generations. Sir David Attenborough called Gerald a pioneer with a marvelous sense of humor, who was personally responsible for making wildlife conservation a cause that today we all care about. Gerald's mission and vision continue through the tireless work of Durrell's dedicated conservationists throughout the world. We all have much to thank Gerald Durrell for, because without him, many species would no longer be with us, and many more would soon be gone. As we chatted to Holly about all of this, I couldn't help but notice quite simply how remarkable a place Durrell really is. The grounds are beautifully landscaped, which Holly assured us was because Durrell's groundskeepers are second to none. I believe her. We met Hester, Durrell's resident flamingo expert, at the Flamingo Pond. A flock of pink Chilean flamingos, elegant and beautiful with pale yellow eyes and graceful curved beaks, have lived on the site since 1966. It was feeding time today, and as we watched these elegant birds gobble up their dinner, Hester told us about the flamingo's long history. The Romans used to pickle and eat flamingo tongues, and Andean miners used to believe the bird's fat cured tuberculosis. Though these dangers are long past, the flamingo is still threatened due to habitat destruction, pollution, and egg collecting. Flamingo eggs are a staple food in some areas, we learned. There are thought to be no more than 200,000 Chilean flamingos left in the wild, and although the World Conservation Union tells us that the Chilean flamingo is not facing any immediate threat of extinction in the wild, numbers are declining. Durrell is active in the conservation efforts to protect this beautiful bird, and they certainly are a star attraction here in Jersey. Like many of us, my 6-year-old son is scared of snakes and bugs. I mean, really scared. So, when Fiona brought out a South American boa constrictor for us to stroke, I wasn't sure whether I'd be running after a screaming, terrified little boy who had made a quick escape. Luckily, Fiona's a pro at making kids comfortable around wrigglers and creepy crawlies, and in no time at all, Lorenzo was stroking this quite beautiful yellow and brown serpent. Well, okay, stroking probably isn't the right word, but he was certainly getting up close and touching it. But when Fiona brought out the Madagascar hissing cockroaches and the enormous stick insects, I wish I could say we were happily letting them crawl up and down our arms. But even Mommy and Daddy were more than happy to simply observe. The venue for our show was Durrell's classroom, where they regularly hold interactive sessions with the animals for local school children. Housed in a brand new enclosure called the Discovery Desert, these lively, good-natured little creatures scurry about, endearingly standing on their hind legs when the feeders come around with tasty, wriggly mealworms. Durrell's meerkat colony sprouted from a single breeding pair brought to the trust in 1999. In fact, you can adopt the parents, Madison and Nelson, and the family now numbers over 30. The Discovery Desert will soon become a mixed enclosure, with the arrival of a pair of prickly African crested porcupines, currently housed with a pair of yellow mongooses in a small building nearby. I always imagined porcupines to be like you see in the cartoons, cute and cuddly like hedgehogs. But these porcupines are startlingly large, about the size of a medium-sized dog, albeit with shorter legs. They can get quite defensive too, especially when a mongoose tries to pinch one of their walnuts.
No, these ones are solid.
Holly eventually left us to explore on our own, and we found our way to the primates. Durrell's primate collection is the highlight of the park. Gorillas, orangutans, lemurs, gibbons, macaques, and tamarins bound about in large enclosures for children and adults alike to enjoy. Don't miss the super cuddly alotran lemurs near the walled garden. These gorgeous little fuzzballs are very nearly extinct in the wild in their native Madagascar. And Gerald Durrell himself was particularly fond of the alotrans, and went to great pains to try and save this species. In fact, Durrell is one of the few places in the world that has successfully bred the alotran lemur in captivity. But probably our most favorite animal was the orangutan. I'm always struck how human-like they are. Their facial expressions and their love of play are a joy to behold. My 6-year-old son was in stitches when he saw a big male cuddling up inside a paper sack. As our visit to Durrell came to an end, my wife and I reflected on how vital their conservation work is, and yet how relatively unknown it is with the general public. How can we help spread the word? I urge all of you to visit Durrell and to experience what we've experienced.